darkness and light. But every journey has its mysteries, and sometimes not every passenger is bound for a destination. Tonight, we uncover the legend of the phantom passenger, the traveler who boards trains without a ticket, without luggage, and who is never seen leaving. The story begins in the early 1900s, when trains were the lifeline of nations. Railroads connected villages to cities, families to opportunities, and soldiers. Battlefields, conductors prided themselves on precision, order, and accountability. Every passenger was logged, every seat counted. But across Europe, Asia, and the Americas, whispers began to spread among railway workers. Stories of a stranger who appeared without warning, boarded late, night trains, and was never seen stepping onto the platform again. The earliest known account comes from 1907 on the Trans-Siberian Railway. A conductor reported seeing a pale-faced man board the train at a small rural station. He carried no luggage, wore a long dark coat, and said nothing. His ticket was never checked, because when the conductor returned to collect it, the man was gone. No one had seen him leave, the train had not stopped, the carriage was locked, yet his seat was empty, as if he had never existed. Over the years, similar reports came from other countries. In India, railway officials in the 1930s spoke of a veiled woman who would board crowded trains at dusk, sit silently by the window, and vanish before morning. In England, the legend grew of a man in a bowler hat who haunted the London Underground, appearing in empty cars, staring out at the tunnels, before disappearing into thin air. At first, these were dismissed as superstition, tricks of the mind in dimly lit trains, but the stories were too consistent, too widespread to ignore, and always there were chilling similarities. The phantom passenger never interacted with others, never purchased a ticket, and left no trace behind. One of the most infamous cases occurred in 1954 on a night train traveling from Vienna to Munich. Witnesses reported a woman boarding the train at Salzburg. She wore a faded dress, old-fashioned, as though from another century. She sat quietly in the corner of the carriage, her hands folded neatly on her lap. Passengers recalled feeling an unnatural chill in the air, as though the temperature had dropped suddenly. When the train reached Munich, inspectors came through the carriages. Every passenger disembarked, except her. When they entered the car, her seat was empty. No one had seen her leave. The chilling part, her seat was still damp, as if covered in morning dew. From that night onward, railway staff began to whisper about the phantom passenger. Some believed she was the spirit of someone who had died tragically on the tracks, unable to move on. Others believed she was a warning, a harbinger of accidents yet to come, and indeed, several trains where she had been sighted were later involved in derailments or unexplained mechanical failures. The phenomenon wasn't limited to Europe. In Japan, on the Yamanote line in Tokyo, commuters spoke of a shadowy figure boarding at Shibuya Station. The figure, tall and faceless, would sit silently until the doors opened at the next stop. Yet no one ever saw it leave. A few brave passengers attempted to photograph the apparition, but their cameras malfunctioned, leaving only static or blackened images. In the United States, a legend formed around the phantom rider of the Chicago L train. In the 1970s, late night passengers reported a man in a trench coat appearing suddenly in empty cars. He would stare straight ahead, never blinking, never moving, until the train reached its final stop. When inspectors walked through, the man was gone, though the security doors had never opened. Skeptics argue that these are simply urban legends, ghost stories born of tired minds, dim lights, and the rhythmic hum of the rails. But railway workers will tell you otherwise. Conductors, inspectors, even engineers, hardened men and women with years of experience, where they have encountered the phantom, and for them, it's not just a story. One particularly chilling testimony comes from a conductor in Eastern Europe in the 1980s. He recalled doing his final rounds on a night train when he saw a man standing at the end of the carriage, staring out the window. The conductor approached, asking for his ticket. The man slowly turned, revealing hollow, blackened eyes. The conductor froze. When he blinked, the figure was gone. The train car was empty. That same night, the train experienced a sudden brake failure, narrowly avoiding disaster. Psychologists suggest another theory, that the phantom passenger is not a ghost, but a manifestation of human fear. Long journeys, dim lights, isolation. They play tricks on the mind. Passengers project their anxieties into apparitions, creating a shared hallucination that spreads by word of mouth. But this fails to explain the consistencies. The same appearances, the same vanishing acts, repeated across decades and continents. Folklorists dig deeper, suggesting the phantom passenger may be tied to ancient beliefs about travel and the afterlife. In many cultures, the journey from life to death is symbolized by a crossing, a river, a bridge, a road. Perhaps, they argue, trains have become the modern metaphor. The phantom passenger, then, is not a ghost, but a soul eternally in transit, unable to complete the final journey. And then there are the darker theories. Some investigators believe the phantom passenger is connected to missing person cases. Throughout history, there have been reports of individuals boarding trains who were never seen again. Not in stations, not in records, not in life. Could the phantom passenger be collecting them? Could it be that certain trains, certain nights, serve as gateways not to destinations, but to disappearances? Whatever the truth, the stories persist. Even in the modern age of security cameras and digital tracking, sightings continue. CCTV footage occasionally captures unexplained shadows, seats depressed as if someone is sitting, doors open and close with no passenger visible. In one case, a Japanese surveillance video showed a train car door opening at a deserted station. The motion sensors registered movement, but the camera recorded nothing. Seconds later, the conductor reported a sudden chill and a seat cushion indented as though occupied. Perhaps the most unsettling part of the legend is this. Passengers who claim to have encountered the phantom often report being watched. Days after their journey, they speak of seeing figures in crowds, reflections in mirrors, shadows moving in their homes, as though the phantom, once acknowledged, follows them beyond the train. To this day, railway companies avoid speaking publicly about such encounters, but off the record, many admit the stories are too numerous to dismiss. Some trains are even rumored to avoid certain routes late at night, not for safety, but for superstition, and so the phantom passenger remains one of the most chilling unsolved mysteries of the rails. A traveler without destination, appearing when least expected, vanishing without explanation. The next time you step onto a train at night, glance around your carriage, watch the faces of the people around you, and if you notice someone who doesn't quite fit, someone silent, still, with eyes that don't seem to blink, remember this story, because when the train stops, when the doors open, when every other passenger steps onto the platform, you may turn and realize that one seat remains occupied, a passenger who never leaves, and the question will haunt you. Is it just a legend, or did you just share a carriage with the phantom passenger?